right. Well, on the Cricketers Network this week, beaming in from his home in Dunedin with 16 tests for his country, including probably one of the greatest debut any cricketer could hope for. Almost 400 games for Otago, including 17 first-class centuries. Hamish Rutherford, welcome to the Cricketers Network, mate.
Good evening. That's a
Uh,
lovely introduction, isn't it?
is it nice hearing all those things, all your achievements?
Uh, yeah, I mean, it feels like a past life in some respects. You sort of retire and step into another field where cricket is definitely not on the forefront of everyone's mind. And yeah, you talk about 17 centuries, and I bet you most of the people I work with probably don't know what that means. So it's
Wow.
quite humbling.
Well, that okay. Well, let's ask what you do for a living because I didn't research that part. But I talk to a lot of cricketers who have retired, and most of them become financial advisors. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, but you spend a lot of time in Auckland, so there's a bit of difference there. You
Okay,
need
all
money
right.
to live there, don't you? So I'm a project manager for a company, RCP. They are out of Auckland, but they have offices throughout the country, and I'm on the new Dunedin Hospital. So
Right.
pretty big job. Obviously, been in and around the news for many a variety of things, but yeah, I picked it up sort of in my last year playing. Got a wee internship, got a taste for it, decided that it was a path I wanted to venture down, and they were really good. Helped me transition. It's been people talk about transitions, but it's been somewhat smooth in many respects from that. So very thankful for them with that. But yeah, it's a very I think the beauty of that internship was that, yeah, as I said, you step into an office where people don't actually know sport at
Yeah.
all. Um, and certainly when I call it the cricket bubble, when you're playing cricket, you're in this bubble that everything's evolved around cricket, etc. People know you because of that. So it's quite an eye opener to walk out into that big wide world that doesn't evolve around cricket.
Yeah. Also, I mean, you know, I'm very sympathetic to the pressures of a professional cricketer, and I know they're not life or death, but
No.
they are real while you're in
Yeah.
that bubble. And now you've decided to work for a hospital that tends to be, or a project that tends to be a bit of a political football. So,
Mm.
do you think your time handling pressure has helped?
Well, certainly, I think that's it's not till you step away from sport. I'm sure most people say that they step away from it and they realize all those skills that they've gained for so many years that are almost second nature to them, and they don't even probably realize how valuable they are in any job, let alone what I'm doing. So, as you say, it isn't life or death what cricketers do, but the ability, in a clutch final, clutch moment, you're having to make a decision under pressure. The skills you gain from that experience put you in fantastic, stead moving forward in life. I'm, I can't, I sort of joke to a few people. I'm, yet to feel stressed, to be honest. Um, and I'm sure it'll come because look, we're a team on the hospital, a team of 6 or 7, and I'm obviously at the bottom end of that.
Mm.
So I'm sure as I gain experience and I suppose climb ranks or whatever you want to call it, I'll obviously have to make a few decisions that I'm sure I'll be a little bit nervous about. But for now, I'm just learning and I'm the gopher, so to speak. So it is quite funny. Obviously, I guess when you retire, you're sort of at the top of that field in some ways, and then you start back down here, which I mean I quite like it. It's nice.
Yeah, they don't care that smash Freddie Flintoff around, or
No,
whatever, do they?
they don't care at all, and it's quite nice. It's quite nice that they don't as well, because then I don't have to talk war stories around the water cooler every day.
Yeah, no, I can understand that's probably quite taxing as well. But that's exactly why I'm here. I'm sorry. Um, let's talk a little bit about pressure because you're an opening bat. You're an opening bat your entire career, as I understand, unless you can correct me on that. So,
I can correct you
Okay.
briefly.
Yes,
I
go on.
thought one year, I thought it would be fun one year to. Well, I wasn't getting selected, was I? So I thought, I'm in good shape here. What about going to bat in four and first class cricket and one day cricket? Because that
Yeah.
might show that I can bat in the middle. And then, sort of halfway through the year, the openers weren't doing too well for Otago, and our selector said, "I don't know why we've got the best opener in Otago batting four," so
Yeah, right.
that didn't work. But yeah, essentially, I was an opener. Sorry.
Well, no, that's fine. Because openers, they've got to be a special breed, right? I think every
Yes.
cricketer thinks whatever they are is a special breed, but none, that go head first, over the trenches more than an
Mm,
opening bat. So
mm.
why that?
Well, waiting to bat's worse, you see.
Ah, I see. I see. Is that
Yeah,
it?
I mean, yeah, well, yeah. So, oh,
It's when you're a
I
kid,
open,
and it's
yeah.
guaranteed, right? When you're a kid, you're always going to get a bat if you open.
I think maybe I've just always opened, and then I always opened, and I got a first bowler on debut for Otago in first class cricket. And the second game, Mike Heston said, "Oh, Hamish, you'll bat five in the next game." And I still remember waiting to bat. It was the most nervous sort of like, what do you do? And yeah, so I think you just become used to it. You run off the field, so in the change of innings, you just rush, get your pads on. I think as my career evolved, I managed, I used to do a bit of mindfulness and try and sort of settle myself, especially when I became captain,
No.
because you need to try and, you got to take one hat off and put another hat on, and try and what's the word I'm looking for here? Try and forget all the anger that you're bringing over from the bowling innings
Yeah,
if it
right.
wasn't going well.
Sure.
Yep, and not bring it into your batting. But I think you just become used to it, and I used to not like preconceived ideas on things. So whether that be pitches or bowlers or things, so other people giving an opinion on what the surface was playing like, I would prefer to just go out there and try and get my take on it. So I suppose opening really helps that. And then also, it's when you are a captain, you can send a really good message to your team from the top of the order as well. So there's probably parts of that, but yeah, you definitely got to be a little bit weird. I still believe fast bowlers are the weirdest. Um,
Yeah, I've never quite worked that out, but they definitely are.
we have to be. It's sore.
It's sore. Maybe that's yeah,
I
yeah,
don't- like, why would you? Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
yeah, I've met a few left arm Chinamans, and they're a bit different.
yeah, yeah. Now, were you a first ball facer or not?
I was in the end, not initially, because Craig Cumming, so I debuted with him, and he was a first bowler, so I didn't get an option. I've been very fortunate at Otago. You see it in other teams, they chop and change. One innings it's one innings it's the other. I mean, that would do my head in.
Yeah,
I used to enjoy consistency. So, yeah, when I started, Craig was like, I'm taking it, so I didn't even question. And then when Aaron Redmond was my other partner, he wanted it as well. So then when he retired, I was like, well, now I'll take it. So just kind of happened like that. Neil Broom got a little bit funky from time to time in white ball cricket, as if you spent any time with Neil, you'll understand what I mean.
yeah. He's a
Um,
character. He should be an opening batter or a fast bowler with his character. Yeah,
exactly. So he once thought that him facing right arm spin made sense for him to take the first ball. So we would have to walk out in a 2020 and see who they were bowling first and then decide. So it didn't work a few times. So I had to just say, no, let's just go back to me taking it because it'll be easier. In theory, it made sense, but it was doing my head in to walk out not knowing if I was facing or not. I guess the benefit as well facing the first ball is it's often a bad ball.
true.
So you can just get off strike easy. No one wants to get a duck.
No, that's true. Right. Look, I'm going to ask a question you've probably been asked a million times, but it's my turn now. So, obviously, your old man was a black cap, was a New Zealand captain. You lived in a cricket house. Was there any chance of you doing anything else for a living?
Well, Yeah, not this. This might take a dark angle, but it it shouldn't. I think because Dad obviously moved to South Africa when I was 5, so
Mm,
he actually wasn't around. So the that sort of cricket household where you're thinking, where I guess people would perceive it to be, wasn't that. It was actually through me and my brother, our love for the game, really. And I think there's probably, now I'm older and I can see it. There's probably a part of me that was always like, I want to do what he's doing, because maybe because he was away. I don't know.
sure.
It's getting that might be getting too deep. I don't know, but there might be a part of that in there. Never had any pressure on me to certainly pursue cricket. It's just for as long as I can remember, that's just been what I wanted to do. And going over to South Africa when we got to go there, and if you've looked at the SA20 of late, it looks like it did then. They used to play packed houses, one day games at Wanderers, like 50 over cricket, colour clothing, full houses. And I was like, geez, how good's this? At the time, he was sponsored by Nike and Gunn and Moore, and you'd go there. It felt like we went there with shopping trolleys and would, like
Yeah,
that
right.
didn't happen when I was playing, but like that was like, geez, how cool's that? um, yeah, so I suppose there was, I guess the treats out there, and I guess he showed a way of living, I suppose, that maybe spoke to me. I don't know, but I mean, we used to just play cricket, as I suppose everyone does in the backyard. We never really, but it certainly wouldn't have been, I guess, the cliche father being the cricketer and the son's just out the back door bloody getting throwdowns all the time. I think I was very fortunate that he probably was away. I didn't have him at the cricket games
Sure.
with the parents and with the kids, and all the added probably pressure that might have brought. If that, you know what I mean? So
Absolutely. I totally
yeah,
get that. It's like if you get out for a duck, it's Ken Rutherford's son can't score any runs. Surely it's in the
yeah.
blood, Yeah, you don't need that. Cricket's hard enough, right?
Yeah, I probably only the biggest time I would have felt actually like how important Dad was when I went to an under-17 tournament, and like Lance Cairns was there. He was a selector for New Zealand, just there watching, and I didn't know who he was, and he made a beeline for me because him and Dad are very good friends,
Mm.
and he made a beeline for me, introduced himself, and was just like very, friendly, and I was kind of like, this is a bit weird. It was just not, do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? It
yeah,
just
yeah.
wasn't, kind of like, this is a bit over the top, and you felt a sense from other people that, I don't know, I was some sort of name, but I was just trying to whack a red cricket ball at the time.
Yeah,
The biggest name there was Kane Williamson, and he was like 15 or something. So it's,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's yeah, very different.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I think New Zealand probably more than any other country, the father son
Mm.
combination, the Cairnses, you and your dad, and the Lathams as well. There was
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. Actually, I remember there was a game when you were in the team and Tom Latham was in the team, and I know they're not probably related, but Jeetan Patel was in the team. So it said Rutherford, Latham, and Patel. And I was like, if somebody had been in a coma for 20 years and woke up, they'd think that
Yeah.
nothing had changed.
Uh, Yeah, no, it is bizarre, really. I mean, it's obviously Dad and Rod played together '92 World Cup, and then Tom and I were opening, however many years later. Like it's a crazy storyline. Obviously the Bracewells as well.
Bracewells, yeah,
Um,
that's a good one.
yeah, it's just ridiculous. Probably not that many people here. Maybe that's why, I don't know.
Let's talk about the debut. So 170 against England on your home ground. Um,
Mm.
I mean, you can't ask for better than that. Were you just in the zone that day?
I was thinking, so obviously I pre this, I knew this question would come up, and I have terrible answers for this question. Everyone
Okay.
I answered, and I'll try and see where this goes. But it's look, I was very fortunate to be selected when I was. I was in very good form. For those around who remember pitches around New Zealand that year and that era, they were very flat.
Mm.
They didn't bounce very high. They were
Yeah.
glorious.
Yes, that was probably the case for about 30 years, to be honest. Yeah.
That was awesome. But anyway, sorry. Yeah. So I was in a great reign of form, and I just got picked at the right. Some people don't get picked at the right time.
Mm.
I did. I got picked at the right time. Obviously, I played a couple of white ball games because I played the 2020 series. So I'd seen a little bit of them. I then got picked because Gup got injured. Gup did his hammy in the one day series, and I got flown up to play two games.
Yes, I
So
remember that.
I faced Finn and Anderson,
Hmm.
and so I'd faced them, and then after that there was a New Zealand A game in Queenstown, glorious. That we actually played. Well, Stuart Broad played, and not their front line bowlers played, but I've later found out they were basically drinking the whole time. Um, so
It
cricket was a real
does seem to be a
side.
theme with the English side, doesn't it? When they come to New
It
Zealand.
does, yeah. Mind
Yeah.
you, like I now, they'd come from India, straight to here, and they got sent to, one of the world's greatest spots to play cricket, and
Yeah.
some of them didn't play. Like, I mean, I would prefer to be on the golf course, but anyway. So sorry, back to the story. I was picked in. I think I got 90 odd in that game, so I was just in good form. And Kevin Peterson dropped me on 78, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, and yeah, it just couldn't have been a better timing to get picked. And you still got to make the most of it. But yeah, I was as most people are when they debut. You're as naive as anything. You got no idea what's going on. I just kept telling myself, and I've seen my interviews following it. I was just trying to play the ball. And to be honest with you, that's what I was doing. I was just in such good vein of form. Not saying I felt invincible, but I was just in the zone. I was in the zone for like a year or so. I just felt
Right.
so at ease with my game. It obviously then changed from that day on, but at that point, it was good, and yeah, it was a cool moment. Like I obviously played a handful of games throughout my years, not for New Zealand, but in general. But there's not many games you walk off and you sit down and you're like, oh yeah, that was a good day. Well, I didn't have many of those days, and that was one of them. Because you've always got something that you weren't happy with. Is my point, and I was a perfectionist and still am. So it's always bugs me. But that was one day I do vividly remember getting out and sitting down and being like, oh, that was quite cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Did it help being at
yeah.
home?
Uh, but see, because I didn't know many people in the team, I opted to stay in the team hotel, which hindsight, silly, should have stayed at home.
Okay.
Um, so it's kind of like it was even weirder because I was
Right.
in Dunedin, but staying at the casino. Like
Yeah. Staying at
why
the
I
Southern
thought that
Cross,
was,
like we always do.
yeah,
Yep.
why that was a good idea is beyond me. But the theory was obviously to spend time with your teammates, but I don't think I spent any time with them anyway. So it was bizarre. It certainly helped. Like I knew the conditions, obviously. Like I said, the wickets back then were incredibly flat.
Oh, stop
I
it.
think,
Right. No, no, I'm going to cut you off there. Um, the Test cricket's called Test cricket for a reason. No one else got
yeah,
170 in that test. Now,
no, no, no.
uh,
They were flat. The
okay,
next year they
right.
got green as anything, and you walked out to the basin, and you know what they look like. Like you walk out to the
I do. Yeah.
see and they're green. You don't know where the wicket is.
You have to
Like
look,
the
see where
following
the
year,
stumps are. Yeah.
the following year we turned up. I still remember it. We turned up 2 days out for training, and I went in with faults, and I was like, Peter, where's the pitch? And he's like, shut up. And like, there's a good footage. I don't know. I'm sure there's footage of this. We had a toss, and you saw me and him. I was juggling, and he was just sitting there like this, waiting to see what the toss. And then we lose the toss, obviously, because Brendan never won a toss. And then we bowl. Sorry, we're batting, and the look on our faces is just like pure shock. At that point, I'd never batted on a green pitch.
Right.
I didn't know what it looked like. Sorry.
15 more tests. One
Yep.
one other time past 50, but an average in the mid 20s. You'd still say that was the start of your test career. Do you think you got a fair run?
Yeah, so my summary, the way I view it is I got picked young, like I was, 23, I think. I hadn't at that time played a full year domestically. I was in and out of the Otago side. Back then, they only had 12 contracts, so I actually wasn't contracted. My first contract was the year that I played for New Zealand. So
Right.
it's very different sort of time in many respects. So like I said, I felt in good form, but I hadn't really learnt much about my game. So obviously play the first series against England at home. Then we tour. We went to England. We then went to Bangladesh. Where else did we go? Went or maybe we came home after that. But so I was essentially learning international cricket, but then also learning my game as people worked me out. Learning how to bat in different conditions, all that sort of stuff that touring exposes you to. Living in a hotel room in the subcontinent for 3 months, that sort of, all that sort of stuff that,
Mm.
yeah, you're not taught growing up, are you? So I wasn't able to make the most of, I suppose, that young opportunity. And yeah, you know, uh, some players get a longer rope than others. Some players might have another string to their bow that helps them get picked, in other teams or whatever. I was, that's how I guess the cards were dealt to me. I felt sort of near the end of my 20s, I was prime and thought there was a couple of times where I could have got an opportunity. I had some, conversations with selectors and coaches at the time, and hence the move to four as, sort of trying to show, I guess, another string. But it just wasn't to be. So, it's just sometimes happens like that. I was certainly a better player, near the end of my 20s, early 30s than I was when I was 23, but that's just sometimes the way it goes.
Am I remembering this right? There was a comeback into the New Zealand side, right?
Yeah, well, so I was playing for Worcester and we were preparing actually for a quarter final in the 2020, and I get this random panicked call from, I think it was Gav Larson at the time, saying, "Hamish, we need you to fly to Sri Lanka now. We don't have enough players." And I was like, "Sorry, sorry, Gav." He's like, "Yeah, we've got one more game, and we probably won't have enough players to get through that game." And
Oh,
I'm like, "Okay." So, and at the time, I thought I rung Dad and I rung my fiance at the time, Sophie. I was like, you know, and I'm kind of in that. I don't know if you remember Gina Patel a few years earlier turned down an opportunity because of,
yeah,
as I said, I was preparing for a quarter final. And then I was like, this is one game. What is that? Sort of, I started getting a bit like this. In the end, I took it up. I flew. I packed like an overnight bag and
yeah.
my cricket bag. Went down to Heathrow, flew over, landed, drove to somewhere else in Sri Lanka, drove to the ground, had a hit, and the game was the next day. At that point, though, I didn't know if I was playing or not, and that's when I got a little bit grumpy, if truth be told.
Sure.
And then anyway, in the morning, found out I was played, got a first baller.
Uh,
Was
this is
part.
not why I asked, by the way.
Well, no, because the story is I batted three. So again, I was watching. Colin Munro got out, Malinga. I got out. First ball, LBW, given not out. They referred it,
Right,
smashing, I think smashing leg. It was
right.
so out. I don't know why he gave it not out. Then I think Roscoe got out, hat trick ball. Then Colin de Gronholm got out, four in a row.
Four in a row. You're part of the famous four in a row.
And then I had to sign the ball at the end of the game.
God. It's a long way to go to be, slightly
Yeah, well
embarrassed, I
then,
guess.
yeah, so then anyway, I got basically bus back to Colombo, flew out the next day, and then I think I was playing a 4 day or 2 days time. But luckily, Worcester had won the quarter final and I got to go to finals day. But it was the most bizarre, to think about how much money that would have cost New Zealand cricket to send me there I didn't even hit the ball. So it smashed my toe. Um, it's quite funny, really.
Yeah, yeah. there's all these stories now about like Adam Zampa flying from Australia to
Yeah.
England to bowl 20 balls. This beats
Yeah.
that, I think.
Yeah. Well, the other comeback you might be talking about is the test one, where it was COVID times. I came in I just actually birth of our second Oscar, and it was like, yeah, I left like I think a couple of days after that, so it was quite tough. But it was, I thought I was going to be playing, but I got up and then Steady's like, "Oh no, you're going to carry them." I was like,
Oh,
I kind of, that's when you kind of like, I'm ready to go. And
yeah,
I think the big thing is when you first get picked when you're younger, certainly in my case, you're trying to see if you're good enough.
yeah,
And then obviously I had success straight away, and then there's other issues that come with it. But I think, when I'd spent so much time out of the side, you're still like, am I good enough to actually, now I get my game and understand myself, am I now good enough to play at this level? So at that time, I was like, beauty, I'm going to get a chance here. And then, you're carrying them. I was like, oh,
oh
you're
boy,
kidding.
that's the roller coaster of this ridiculous game that we love.
It
Uh,
is, yes.
all right, look, I'm conscious of your time, and thank you for giving us so much. The new thing, other than trying to build the world's most difficult hospital, is is commentary. Now,
Yeah.
I've bumped into you over the years, and I did send you a message to say how good I thought you were going. I think it's a difficult thing. It's something I've given a go, and I can do the non-serious commentary, but doing the serious commentary is a skill that I do not possess. One of the best helpers when I did give it a go was Craig Cumming, actually. So
Yeah.
a few
Yeah.
pointers from your old teammate there. But yeah, do you want to talk us through how that all happened?
Crazy. It is with many things, sort of. They just sort of fall on my lap in a way. I don't know. So it's just actually, I just retired and I got a phone call from Randall from TVNZ sort of saying, would you be interested in flying up and doing the Ford Trophy final? This was, what would that have been, 2023? Yeah, come up and do it. And I was like, yep, beauty. And then got a phone call that winter saying, would you like to do some Super Smash games? Did it. And I don't know, I feel, I'm not saying it comes naturally to me, but I appreciate the color. The color side of it is a little bit easier. You're just calling what you see,
Mm.
and obviously there's a few technical things you need to know. But apart from that, it's. I think I've probably surprised myself at how much I know about the game. I think that's what I've learnt, just the intricacies of it, and probably what certainly people have told me is them listening at home, they like to hear the other sort of stuff, the other side to it, maybe how they batter's thinking or a bowler's thinking. So it just certainly fell on my lap, and it's something, yeah, I'm interested in. Whether it goes somewhere, I mean, the Bangladesh thing happened a week before I flew out, so there's sort of spits and spurts. Like it might happen, it might not. It's a nice wee side hustle. Keeps me connected to the game.
Had you been to
It's
Bangladesh as a player?
Yeah, so I went there in 2013, I think it was.
Okay.
Did not enjoy my 6 weeks there.
Right.
But I think, my summary now is it's very different going as a broadcaster. You don't have any restrictions on you. You can go and walk around and do what you want. Whereas as a player, you're stuck in a hotel, and I'm sure there's people out there that are like, "Oh, come on, it's not that bad," but it can be difficult. If the food's not very nice, if you're not scoring any runs or taking wickets, and it can be quite lonely at times. I
Yeah.
think now they do it very well. They travel with the coffee machine, which would have been wonderful in my day. Gosh, they get it good now, don't they? Um, um, but that's a good thing because you could have a coffee machine in a room and it brings everyone together and you can talk some stuff and whatever, get you out of your room. But yeah, it was way different going there now. Like, yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was 3 weeks. While I did miss my family, it was nice to have 3 weeks by myself and sort of
Yeah. I think
chill
every
out by the pool.
I think every parent can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, kind of final question probably, but you had a look at this kind of, let's say, new look New Zealand team that got sent to Bangladesh. Well, it was a slightly odd series with a couple of rainouts and I don't know how many people were watching back home, but I certainly was.
Mm.
What did you make of that team?
It's. I mean, I got asked this every day by the other commentators in the studio, and it kind of got. I got a little bit sick of talking about how it was a
Sure.
lesser side, but like respectfully in a way that you know it's hard. It's sort of this new age, the new times of cricket. It's hard to sort of talk about in a way because
Yeah.
it, but I kind of thought about it. I was like, if you fast forward 2 years time and look back, it'll just say New Zealand versus Bangladesh. People probably won't, like people won't really go into it and go, oh, it's the CD bloody G team or whatever.
Yeah. Also,
So
I would say the New Zealand Test captain was in there, and basically the New
yeah,
Zealand Test bowling lineup was in there. So,
yeah.
you'd have to be pretty deep in the weeds of cricket to look back 10 years from now and go, that was a lesser team.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's obviously not the best team, and we all know that. But I think it's a great. It's great. Like, gosh, if you're a player now, you're getting so many opportunities. One, obviously, to play for New Zealand. Two, there's leagues galore around the world. There was a New Zealand A team in Sri Lanka at the same
Yeah.
time. You know, like there's just so for a player, it's amazing. Like the experience they got. Like Jaden Lennox, who knows? Like he's been bowling beautifully every chance he gets,
Yeah.
just continues to impress. I'm sure the series for me certainly would answer a few questions about a few players that I'm sure Rob knows and Gavin as a selector, but it probably confirmed a few things for him. He saw some good performances. Obviously, Will O'Rourke coming back from injury was good to see. Bowled nicely in the second two games, I think it was. Nathan Smith continues to impress.
Yeah.
If he can stay fit and gets the new ball in his hand, I think he's a real weapon. Nick Kelly obviously scored some runs, but I think for me showed, in my opinion, he should be in the middle order, not opening the batting. But I'm not a selector. And obviously Dean Foxcroft scored some runs, took some wickets, which I think's probably aided his selection in the Test side.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, moving forward.
And Bevan John Jacobs, who's got more raps on him than
Pumped it.
probably any player in New Zealand currently.
Ridiculous, eh? Jeez.
Arrived.
He
He's
pumped it.
arrived.
Yeah.
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 Rudds, I could talk to you all day, but we've all got things to do. You have
We
very
do.
important things to do. So thank you so much. It's your first time on the show. I hope it's not the last. So go well.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
No. Thanks. Thanks for having me.